Live to Etobicoke, where mayoral candidate, former Toronto Police Chief Mark Saunders, discussing priorities for the community. Let's listen in live.
Me to restart?
You bet.
Okay, how's that?
Okay, we're all good?
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Bloor Street. Welcome to Etobicoke. Welcome to the Kingsway BIA. My name is Stephen Holliday. I'm a lifelong resident of Etobicoke. This area is exciting and is important to me. All my life, my family and I have visited the businesses here. We've shopped here. We've used the professional services. In fact, I just went to high school down the street. I used to come to this very place after school, that's after school, to shoot billiards from time to time. I got married in the church just behind me here about 20 years ago. This place is near and dear to my heart, and it's Main Street within Etobicoke. That's why I'm so concerned about the march of the bike lanes emanating from downtown Toronto and proposed on Bloor Street right here. I've talked to a lot of people about it. They said, this is a vibrant area, it works. Why is it broken? Why is council trying to fix something that's not broken? And their confidence in government is eroded. The answer is, it's about ideology. It's about ideology over practicality. That's what this mayor's race in the City of Toronto is about. It's about our future. It's about choosing between ideology and practicality. I'm here today to let you know that I support Mark Saunders as the next mayor of Toronto. And the reason is I think Mark brings practicality to our situation in the city, a situation of dire financials where we don't have the money to pay for the bills that we have to pay. And yet there's proposals like this that are questionable to the public, and people are not confident that the right decisions are being made. Now, Mark has a life career in public service. He's been a police officer all over this city. He's a family man, he's a Torontonian. And he understands people. He understands the pressures that we face every day with things like congestion that would be created when you remove 2 travel lanes on a street like Bloor Street. He understands about financial pressures and people struggling to make it through the day, to be employed, to work in businesses such as the ones found along this street. I'm really excited that Mark can bring practicality and hope for the future. Mark can work to restore people's confidence in government. Now, I'm not shy with my opinions about things like bike lanes, but today is about Mark and what Mark has to tell us. So welcome, Mark, to Etobicoke.
That's great. And thank you so much, Stephen, and thank you, everybody, for being here. But first, let me tell you how excited I am to have Stephen Holliday here with me and really understanding of what the City of Toronto needs, why this is such an important election. And, you know, one thing that I have learned is how much Etobicoke loves Stephen Holliday. I've been knocking on doors in the west end of the city. I've had the opportunity of coming here to the Kingsway BIA and speaking with everybody about their issues and concerns. And let me tell you, they spoke very highly of you, Stephen, and it's because you care. You care about this community, and it resonates really loud and clear. And so today I'm excited to be here for a lot of reasons. First, we'll have the opportunity to work together. We've got a lot to talk about over the next couple of months: housing affordability, car theft, public safety, reliable transit, just to name a few. But there's one thing that Stephen has told me, knocking door after door, talking to the business entity of Bloor Street West in this area. And they've said that this area is an area that moves by car and by transit. It is just a fact. And I shake my head when I hear councillors like Josh Matlow saying, you should take the transit everywhere. Go groceries on your bike, or with your families, or take your kids to soccer practices at 3 different spots with 3 kids. The problem is, these are the people that are running city council. They're not in touch with certain areas of the city. The downtown politicians need the public to believe that it's either or. They're unwilling to have reasonable conversations to find compromises. The current plan is to extend bike lanes through Bloor, just from Prince Edward Drive through Islington and right up to 6 Points. Let me be clear. I am not anti-bike lane. I am not. I'm against how the city is doing it. I'm against how the city is doing it. I'm against the idea that pilots automatically turn into permanent projects without consultation from the communities that will have effect of these decisions. And I'll tell you, if City Hall actually listened to the Kingsway BIA instead of the bike experts who've never driven or been in this area, they wouldn't be proceeding with this. Downtown politicians are ramming these bike lanes onto streets that don't make sense to the communities and refuse to listen to the communities about what's best for the communities and the neighborhoods. I think it needs to be said that adding bike lanes to our busiest streets, it's not the solution. It won't help people. Our streets need to be friendly with everyone, with our seniors, with kids, with people who live with disabilities. If your disability confines you to a wheelchair, it's hard enough to get you on a wheel-trans that doesn't come right up to the curb. If seniors can't get around easily, this leads to social isolation. Here in Etobicoke, there's one of the highest rates of populations of seniors than in most parts of this city. But did City Hall think about that? No, they did not. We can't be normalizing this. But that's exactly what the status quo politicians are doing downtown at City Hall. The city has already spent over $75 million on bike lanes and will spend $30 million on bike lanes by the end of this year. Bike lanes were a political decision, not a logical one. I'm not anti-bike lanes. I'm simply looking at it logically. This is what I truly don't understand. We have people sleeping on streets that are being walked around on the streets, yet council keeps focusing on these bike lanes. That doesn't sit well with me. We need to ensure we are designing a safer, more affordable, and livable city for everyone. As mayor, I'll cancel the current expansion plans for bike lanes on Bloor Street from Prince Edward Drive through Islington and up to 6 Points. We need to avoid the pilot to permanent mentality and approach that city undertakes with these kinds of projects, as a pilot doesn't actually have any intention of stopping but continuing and staying permanently. And we need much more consultation with the leaders, residents of the communities and side streets, first responders, and local businesses. Friends, we need to get our priorities straight. When we have issues like violence on the TTC and gun crime, and when families who can't afford to have a home, a place to live, the choice is clear. We can continue to pay for bike lanes, or we can use that money to improve on things like mental health services and help people get off the streets. These are things that are priorities and things that we need to do. We will protect Toronto's future. And with that, I'll take questions.
Chief,
Mark.
Old habit.
Old habit.
Are you going to, is this outright your decision, or if you become mayor, will you look at the data and what the plan was for these bike lanes and then decide, or have you already said, no, this is it?
So again, let me be clear, I'm not anti-bike lane. My concern is at the how. When you knock on doors, I have been knocking on doors where bike lanes are. I haven't heard positive things. You know, I was just talking to someone at an event last night, Bloor and Euclid in that area, and it was a fire truck trying to get through. You have to understand, Bloor Street and Yonge Street are the busiest streets in the country. We're making them single lane. So when you have emergency vehicles, but what he was telling me was on Bloor Street, there was a fire truck trying to get through. 2 firefighters got off the truck, started pushing vehicles out of the way so they could proceed. These are real discussions. These are real things that are happening. We need to get it right. Consultation, measurables, looking at what's happening, Does it suit the intent that is happening, yes or no? And if it's a yes, then proceed. If not, then we have to come up with other solutions.
I guess my question was, in making this decision, have you looked at any of the city reports, any of the data, any of the work that went into this, and that led to you making this decision, or are you just deciding before looking at that stuff?
No, I've looked at some of the reports. I have looked at some of the reports, and I challenge some of those reports, because those reports and things that I'm seeing are not consistent with what I'm hearing at the doors, not consistent with what I'm experiencing when I'm moving around the city, and not consistent with citizens who talk to me about it. Sometimes I don't bring up the discussion that is brought up to me. We have to serve our communities. And if we're going to do it right, the consultation piece needs to be at the forefront. I can tell you right now, no one here has been consulted fairly in any way, shape, or form. And I'm hearing that over and over again. Things are just showing up. These are discussions being had. These are political decisions. Our role is to represent the best interests of our communities that we serve. And it starts by listening. It starts by consulting. That's the first step. Then we move to action. But that's not what's happening.